We noted earlier that prior to Matan Torah, Bnei Yisrael committed themselves to an acceptance of the previously established Sheva Mitzvot de Bnei Noach. This provided the basis for the assertion that when Bnei Yisrael were presented with a set of Arayot laws, the overall concept was nothing new to them, and hence there was no need for the request for their acceptance. The inclusion of the Sheva Mitzvot de Bnei Noach into the Naaseh V'Nishma is reflected in a commentary that Rashi makes to Shemot 24:3. On 3 separate occasions did the Bnei Yisrael commit themselves to abide by the expectations that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had of them in establishing a covenantal relationship. Whether or not all 3 commitments took place prior to the Aseret HaDibrot, or whether they took place as they are recorded in the text, is a point of disagreement between Rashi and the Ramban, with Rashi maintaining that the events recorded in Shemot 24 actually took place alongside the events recorded in Shemot 19 prior to the Aseret HaDibrot. This is reflected in the concept of Ein Mukdam U'Meuchar BaTorah, that the events recorded in the Torah are not necessarily always placed in their chronological sequence. In the first instance, we are told that V'ya'anu kol ha'am yachtav. In unison, the entire nation answers, Kol asher diber Hashem na'aseh. What they were agreeing to was an offer made by HaKadosh Baruch Hu and presented through Moshe, that if they will shamoa tishma'u b'koli u'shmartem et briti, basically abide by the laws that had been already given to them and would be given to them in the future, then v'hitem li sgula mikol ha'amim, the nation would be a precious treasure from amongst all the nations. They would also be a mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh. The flip side to the chosenness was the obligation to be a mamlechet kohanim, a kingdom of priests ministering to the world at large, and a nation that would reflect and be a model for kedusha. To this in Pasuk 8, the people responded Na'aseh. In Perek 24, which follows the Aseret HaDibrot and a set of laws known as the Mishpatim, we are informed once again, Vayan kol ha'am kol echad. With a single voice they respond, Kol ha'devarim asher diber Hashem na'aseh. All that God has spoken, we will do. In 4, 5 and 6 we are told that Moshe writes down the conditions of this agreement. A Mizbeach along with 12 pillars are set up, Korbanot are offered, and then in Pasuk 7, Vayikach Sefer HaBrit, which according to Rashi is all of Sefer Bereshit, half of Sefer Shemot up until the Aseret HaDibrot, Vayikra Ba'oznei Ha'am, he reads the Sefer HaBrit to the people. In response, they affirm that Kol Asher Diber Hashem Na'aseh V'Nishma. In support of the thesis that when Bnei Yisrael accepted the Tariag Mitzvot, there was also an acceptance of the Sheva Mitzvot de Bnei Noach, of which one was a prohibition against level 1 incestuous relationships, father, daughter, mother, son, brother, sister. We can look to a commentary that Rashi makes to the second Naaseh of Shemot 24, Pasuk 3, in which the people committed themselves to an acceptance of the Kol Divrei Hashem Ve'et Kol HaMishpatim. Rashi defines the Divrei Hashem as referring to the 3-day period of prohibition against marital intimacy, and then goes on to define the Mishpatim as the Sheva Mitzvot Shenitztavu B'nei Noach. And therefore, when God in Vayikra expands the list of Arayot prohibition from the level 1 restrictions to level 2 and level 3, level 2 extended family and level 3 family through marriage, it would be difficult to argue that this extension of the Arayot laws required a special request from HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the words Ani Hashem Elokeichem. And therefore, as we noted earlier, Rashi is forced to seek an alternative interpretation for the inclusion of this phrase as an introduction to the expansion of the list of prohibited marriages.